What is going on, everybody? 8 a.m., October 1st. The calendar has changed. September is done. October, this is the best month of the year in sports. We have turned the calendar to October 1st. My favorite time of the year. My favorite time of the year. Hope everybody's having a nice morning as we get the show started. Hopefully, everybody's enjoying a cup of coffee. Got my cup of coffee right here. Cheers to all of you. I changed my coffee. I used to put some milk in there. Now we're just straight black coffee. That's what I'm going with now. I don't know. Is that a sign? I think I'm old now. I think if you just go straight black coffee, you reached a different stage in your life. Well, either way, appreciate you guys hanging out. Appreciate you guys being here. We got a fun show lined up. You guys know we are 2 days away from preseason basketball in the NBA starting. Well, at least for the Lakers. I don't know if anybody starts before the Lakers, but preseason basketball starts on Friday night. When I do a show on Friday and we're done, we'll have 2 games locked up for the Lakers. They're going to play on Friday. They're going to play on Sunday, and then everything will go from there. So, however you want to look at it, it's going to be fun to get games back in. I just kind of, to be honest with everybody, I want to start reacting to games again. You guys probably feel the same way. It's nothing better when you're actually reacting to games and everything else. Got some comments here that I'm going to get to before the show starts. I got my rundown right here that I want to get to, give everyone an idea what we're going to be doing on today's show. I think it's tomorrow. We'll wait till tomorrow on that one. Okay. LeBron out to start training camp. I want to read some stuff in regards to that. Obviously, we listened to JJ Redick yesterday talk a little bit about how it's going to be a really slow ramp up for LeBron and how they're going to be very strategic with him. I actually don't think this is a bad thing at all. It's kind of interesting. I think there are going to be some angles here that I probably am more excited about. If LeBron's sitting on the sidelines and we could kind of see what this team is, see what some of these players are, ask for players to play a different role or a bigger role, I'm curious about that. So I'm looking forward to that. That will be our lead topic for today, is LeBron to kind of work his way back in from training camp. Marcus Smart, something that didn't happen. Marcus Smart talked about how he just wants to be healthy, how excited he is to be back. He wants to play for a competitive team. Really excited to be with the Lakers. But sounds like there's already a little bit of health issues. Now, hopefully by the end of the week, this isn't an issue. But we'll talk a little bit about Marcus Smart. And I'll just give you guys my kind of concept and my idea on Marcus Smart. I think he's got such a tremendous amount of value for the Lakers and can really, if he's the type of player that he was in Boston, or 85% of the player was in Boston, how much of an impact that could have on the Lakers. So we'll talk about Marcus Smart, some of his importance and everything else. Sammy Long, who has now been with me, I want to say this is going to be our 3rd year that Sammy Long's been a part of the channel. He's going to join me at 8:15. Looking forward to talking with him. Sammy's been doing those preview videos for us. So before every Lakers game, he's breaking down the matchup that's coming up. He's going to start doing that tomorrow at 8 o'clock is when he'll have his first preview video for the first preseason game. So looking forward to that. Sammy's going to join us at 8:15. Lakers odds in the Western Conference. I saw DraftKings put something out. I saw ESPN Bet put something out. Lakers moved up in some of these draft odds because Fred VanVleet is out for the Houston Rockets. In some of these draft odds, they were a little bit further down. So I want to take a quick look at that. I got a couple NBA stories we'll get into. Jonathan Kuminga signs. Why when Jonathan Kuminga signed, I'm like, damn it, Golden State won. I don't know if they won. The contract and some of the details in there is beneficial to him. So we got a couple things around the NBA that I'm going to get into. We'll talk a little bit about the MLB playoffs as well, kind of just towards the end of the show, not too much. Yeah, my squad, not good. This could be it for the Padres. This could be it for the Padres. So we'll do a little bit NBA playoffs to end the show, and we'll go from there. Okay, let me look at a couple of the comments here before we do get started. Let's see what we got here. This is the only comment that matters. I need this right now. I need this right here. I need that. All right, let's see what we got here. Losers lose and say, I can't do it. Winners lose and figure out what they did wrong so they can do better the next time. Ocean Breeze was doing this a lot last year as well, where he was throwing in these quotes. I appreciate you doing that, brother. Thank you very much. Let's see what else we got here. Somebody's having a cold brew. Good morning, Sliwa from Phoenix. Go Lakers. Juan, I appreciate you being a part of the show, and I appreciate you tuning in from Phoenix. Let's start this one from Chris talking about LeBron. I want to come back to that. This is Sal talking about really weird how Smart's injury was never brought up at media day. That makes me think it wasn't anything, too big of a deal, but just the fact that that's already a conversation. How's that not concerning if you're a Laker fan? Just because you obviously want to see Marcus Smart be able to do what we all hope he can do. All right, a couple more comments here before we get the show started. We'll talk about training camp here and LeBron. Darren, Coffee and Slee is back. Thank you for being here, brother. Glad to be back. Love doing the show. Okay, tomorrow is officially 1 year of doing the Monday through Friday show. Because if I'm correct here, I wanted to launch on October 1st last year. I didn't because Lakers had media day. So technically my first show was October 2nd. So moving forward now, I got no excuses. I better be a veteran in this game. So we'll hit 12 months tomorrow. So I appreciate everybody being a part of the show. And Darren, thank you for coming back here as we get a little bit closer to the season starting. Okay, let's get started here. Let's get started here. Alexander Sliwa, welcome back. Miss Love from Portland. Alexander, I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. That's the one thing I love about this channel. Everyone's from everywhere. That's kind of Lakers brand, to be honest with you. They're kind of everybody's from everywhere. Okay, let's get the show started. Let's start off with what I mentioned. LeBron out to start training camp. So there was JJ Redick was talking yesterday, and the way this works now as we get into training camp, there is kind of I guess you could call it a benefit. You start hearing from some of the players, you start hearing from some of the head coaches, and you hear pretty early on. Here's what an article Dave McMenamin put up on ESPN yesterday. Here's what he said. LeBron sidelined to open Lakers training camp. And let me give you guys just the details of what JJ Redick said. And then again, I think there's some positive to this. I really do. I mean, if I got to be honest with everybody, I think there's a benefit when you have somebody who's 40, going to go into his 41st season. That's kind of like, look, I'm going to pace myself. I'm going to pump the brakes. And oh, by the way, I got some players on this team as well that if they just do their job, and Luka's one of the top 3 players in the NBA, maybe I don't really have to be there on a night in, night out basis or depended on as much as LeBron's been dependent upon, obviously throughout his entire career and also his time with the Lakers. So let me read a couple quotes here from the article. Here's what JJ Redick said. He said the goal was for James to be recovered in time for the Warriors game. And that the goal was also to see if LeBron can play in at least one of the Lakers' 6 preseason games. So when I originally read that, I'm like, well, they're talking about the Warriors game coming up on Friday. They're not talking about the Warriors game coming up on Friday. Warriors on Friday or Sunday. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, Lakers will start the season against the Golden State Warriors. And what he's basically referring to is he wants him to be there for at least one of these preseason games and then, of course, be ready to go once the season starts. I'm going to read a quote from JJ Redick. Here's what he said. He says, it's probably a little bit longer of a ramp up leading into opening night for him. Obviously, in year 23, it's uncharted territory here. He also said something about LeBron probably doing too much in training camp last fall, so there's no need for them to do that as well. It will be a slower process with him leading into the first game. He's obviously got 22 years so far of wear and tear on his body, and he's dealing with a little bit of a nerve irritation in the glutes. So we're just playing the long game with LeBron. All right. No other quotes I really need to read there from that article, but I just want to kind of set the stage here real quick. Is anybody worried if the Lakers are very strategic with LeBron this upcoming season? Is anybody worried if that they're playing the long game and they don't need LeBron to come out the gate trying to sprint and be the best version of himself in November and December? I mean, I would just imagine that there aren't too many Laker fans that are concerned with LeBron taking a step back through training camp, being a little bit more strategic during the regular season. Now, listen, there's going to be some flaws there. Obviously, LeBron, still an amazing player in year 23, still does so much for the team on a night in, night out basis. There's obviously a lot of benefits when you have LeBron James in the lineup, and I'm not questioning that or doubting that. But I will tell you this. There's a part of me, and I think there's a lot of Laker fans that kind of feel this way. There's a part of me that has always had curiosity. Okay, if LeBron isn't there for a stretch of games or for a period of time, what's it look like? Well, I think back in the day when it was LeBron and Anthony Davis, you really didn't have a quarterback if LeBron wasn't there. AD wasn't going to be your quarterback, nor was that his position to be the quarterback. But I think with Luka, it's completely different. So when I kind of see this ramp up and it's going to take some time and we'll see what players are able to kind of get into a specific role. I mean, let me give you guys an example. Let's just say LeBron's got a reduced role this upcoming year. Individual roles are going to change. So those out there that are demolishing Austin Reaves before the season even starts and says this guy's got to go, I think you're going to have probably a new type of value to Austin Reaves that you're going to attribute if LeBron is pacing himself and if he's not there every single night. For those that maybe give Rui a free pass, or maybe you don't give Rui a free pass, all of a sudden Rui Hachimura becomes a much more important player on this Lakers team if LeBron is kind of, all right, give me a second here. I'm not going to be there for 82 games. I might not be there for 60 games, just again, all depending on how LeBron's going to approach this, how he's going to pace himself and everything else. Let me throw in some other players. All of a sudden, DeAndre Ayton becomes the type of player where everyone's kind of looking at Ayton. It's like, hey, man, that 9-9 game that you had, you can't have that. And you definitely cannot have that if LeBron's not around. So I don't think I think there's some benefit here to LeBron having at least maybe a little bit more of a reduced role, just simply because of the wear and tear and the age and everything that comes into playing in your 23rd season in the NBA. And I think for some of these other players on this Lakers roster, I think it allows them to have more of a role, feel like they are more involved. Feel like there's a little bit more pressure on their shoulders. And I'm talking about the Aytons of the world. I'm talking about Rui Hachimura. Maybe, guys, if you want to add Vando into the mix and Jake LaRavia, go down the list of some of these players. The reason why I'm not really mentioning Luka is because I think Luka's going to have that anyways. Luka's going to have all the attention on him. You go look at a lot of these different NBA, whether it's the DraftKings of the world or any of these sites where they're trying to figure out who's the most likely odds for an MVP. I don't see really Luka in any of these odds that's past 3. He's in front of Giannis in a lot of these MVP odds. The reason why I'm saying that and the reason why I'm setting it up that way is because it's already expected for Luka to be great. The question is for some of these other players on this Lakers roster, can they fill a role knowing that, hey, Bron can't be there every night? Can Rui look better than maybe, or can his expectations go up a little bit because LeBron might not be there every night? Can his role increase? Can Ayton's role increase? And some of these other players that we're talking about. So I really don't think this is a bad thing if, the dust settles and we're looking at LeBron by the time the season starts and maybe the minutes are down a little bit. Maybe he's not playing as many games. Maybe they're very strategic with how they do it. I'm not, I don't think that's a bad thing for the Lakers. And again, if the goal is to make a long playoff run, you don't need LeBron's best in November and December. You need LeBron's best later in the season. It's almost like I don't know if I have the best example for it, but it's almost like a pitcher who's later on in his career and you're pitching him, April through June, he's already had X amount of starts and he's not ready to go or he's not fresh by the time the postseason starts. You got to almost treat LeBron this way as well. Now, the biggest question is going to be, are those guys going to be able to step up? Are those players going to be able to fill in that void? And if the Lakers are playing 500 basketball and LeBron is kind of tapering things, well, then that's a problem. But if the Lakers are able still to kind of win some games and Luka establishes himself like, all right, I'm comfortable. This is cool. I can work with what I have here. And then when LeBron comes, then we're good to go. We're only better than we were than when LeBron was out, then I think that's a little bit different of a conversation. Okay, so I don't think it's the end of the world. Let's put it that way. I think that's my main point here from that perspective. Okay, Victor. No, let me get this one. Victor, don't underestimate Luka. I don't think anybody is. I'm expecting just straight greatness from Luka. I mean, if I'm being honest here, I think if Luka's not, like I said, if Luka is not a top 3 player in the league this year, I would be disappointed. If we're not having a conversation going into April that, hey, Shea's there, Jokic is there, but you know who's right behind him or right in the thick of it? Luka for MVP, I'd be disappointed. So that's kind of I don't think anybody's underestimating Luka and what he can do and what he's supposed to do, especially this year, now that there's really no excuse of, well, he just got here, this, that. Let's see what we else here. Bron is a super senior. He doesn't need to practice. Yeah, he doesn't. Definitely doesn't need to practice. Definitely doesn't need any of that stuff. All right, let's see what else we got here. JJ's got a 5-man rotation this year. Yeah, JJ's better go a lot deeper on that bench if the Lakers are going to make things happen this year. And guys are going to have to step up for him. Okay, I'm going to look at more of your guys' comments here in just a second. Want to welcome in, obviously, a partner of the channel here, somebody that's been making it happen the last couple of years, putting up some good content. Let's welcome back Sammy Long. Sammy Long.
Alan Sliwa, what's up, dude?
What's up, Sammy? What's going on, brother?
I heard you talking about you think you're a man now because you drink black coffee.
Just go black.
Yeah, you don't need all that sugar, all that cream, extra calories for you.
Okay, is that how you drink your coffee?
I do. My dad was like, there are 2 people in his life. There's someone who drinks coffee just black, and then there's someone who has a complicated order at Starbucks. It was taught at a young age. That.
Okay, well, I tell you this. My order is definitely not complicated when I go to Starbucks, but I do have a beef with people that are in Starbucks lines. Can I ask you? We'll get it. We got plenty of time for this.
Oh, let's get to this. I have some beef as well.
Yeah, this is one thing I don't understand. I typically just assume people that go to Starbucks, they've been to Starbucks before, right?
Yeah,
that's safe to say. Like, there's a lot of people that walk into Starbucks. This isn't, a business that just opened up. It's not a grand opening, and it's the first time you've seen this coffee shop. The one thing I don't understand when I'm in line at Starbucks, why are people looking at the menu like it's changed every single day for the last 18 years? It's changed, and they have no idea what to order. You're at Starbucks probably twice a day. Nothing's changed. Why is it taking you 6 minutes for you to figure out what you're ordering?
Outside of the pumpkin spice and fall. I was there the other day. I ordered an oatmeal.
Pretty fun.
I ordered an oatmeal real quick, and then we'll get to basketball. Ordered an oatmeal, and they go, great, that's awesome. And then they're like, do you want a side of almonds or toppings? I go, sure. They go, do you want blueberries? I go, sure. They go, do you want raisins? I go, just give me all the toppings. I go, I don't need the whole thing. I gotta be honest.
I gotta be honest. If you're gonna ask me, do I want the toppings or whatever the case is, like, let's say I say no to the almonds. Are we down 50 cents on the total order? Are we down 75 cents? Because
we're not.
From what I understand, you're still going to charge me, so give me my damn almonds.
Starbucks, not going to be a sponsor of the Alan Sliwa show.
That's awesome. That's okay. I mean, give me some local coffee shops. I'll take local coffee shops.
Exactly.
That's pretty funny. And that's I love the quote from your dad of there are 2 types of people. But here's the difference. I will just say this. I feel like if you're going to have black coffee, then you're also going out there and you're doing real work. Yeah. If I'm having black coffee and I'm just getting on my laptop talking about the Laker rotations, I mean, this isn't real work. It's not like I'm working on a freeway out here in construction or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, hey, I want to ask you, by the way, I know you and I talk, but a lot of the audience hasn't seen you in a little while. So hopefully nice off season. Hopefully you've been doing your thing. I know you're busy doing some of your own stuff, but I just hit on, before I get into like a lot of other things I want to talk to you about, some benefit to LeBron. You think not being there for training? What I mean by that is, I think this could allow other players to say, hey, I can't rely on LeBron, so I got to have a bigger role, or I got to step up, or whatever the case is. What do you think are some of the benefits? Or maybe you don't think there are benefits to having LeBron have, his presence be there as much during training camp.
I think it's a great thing. We see this in the NFL all the time in the preseason. Like, everyone knows Justin Jefferson can catch a football. Like, let's see. Jordan Addison suspended. Not to use a Vikings reference, but like, let's see who's down the chart to see to see who can step up and fill in the gaps if one of these guys go down. Not saying you don't want those guys to get work, but I saw someone in the chat say it earlier. I mean, LeBron's played basketball for 23 years. It's not like he's going to forget between now and then about how to play basketball. And we've heard for years about the LeBron's playing too much in games. Let's load manage LeBron. Let's make sure he's ready for down the stretch or in the playoffs. And that's never been more real than this year, because he is year 23. We heard him at the media day. They asked him, they're like, well, are you going to be back for next year, a year from today on media day? He's like, I don't know. So clearly is wrapping up here. And now you finally have a other star, no shot to Anthony Davis, but another star that, knock on wood,
superstar
that can legit win you games. I think that was the problem with AD. Even though AD is a fantastic player, brought LA a title, it's like some nights he'd have 35 and some nights he'd be like, where are you? You had 12. And so LeBron had to play every night. I think this is big. I think especially with some of the new pieces, Marcus Smart coming in, DeAndre Ayton, the roster is good enough to let LeBron not only rest in the preseason, but hopefully rest a few games during the year and get ready for the postseason.
And that's kind of like the concept, right? The concept is hopefully they're able to be more strategic. Now, there have also been times, I'm sure LeBron over the years has said to himself, hey, it'd be really nice to kind of pace myself. He hasn't been able to. And I think that's now going to be up to these players to show that, no, we got the right roster. No, we got, the right team, this and that. And I don't know if they maybe look at it this way as well. Is this Lakers team, are they a team that's just saying, if we can be top 5 in the standings in the West, we'll run with that? Or are they really pushing for a home court, this, that? I mean, the only thing you really don't want is to be in the play-in. You get that, 5-6 days off before. But just look at last season. They won 50 games. They were the number 3 seed. They lost home court in the first 48 minutes of game 1, and then they end up losing in 5. I wonder, just big picture as well, if that plays in, or it's probably honestly too early to even try to predict that.
No, but I think that is a real thing. Like, the past few years before last year, it was all a race to just get in. That we would see it feel like the Lakers would have terrible Decembers and Januaries, and they'd be trying to make a beeline for the playoffs. And then, like, even last year, it was so tight. The West was so good that despite the Lakers winning all those games, they were still making a chase. And then down the stretch, I mean, Luka and LeBron didn't get to play together that much, because remember, Luka was injured when they got the trade, and then LeBron went out for a little bit. So it felt like the lineups were always kind of different and changing and everything like that. So I think this year with a full training camp, LeBron kept talking about that on media day. It's going to be a lot different.
All right, what do you make of we haven't got a chance to talk about this, but Lakers season ends. A lot of chatter around some different, Luka's conditioning and Austin Reaves and this and that fit, all that stuff. I'll get into some of that stuff in a second, but seeing Luka right now where he's at and seeing what his conditioning looks like, obviously seeing him in Eurobasket. I think also, some people might not think there's value in this, but just the mere fact that the trade happened, it's done, nothing's going to be new anymore. Now this is kind of more just back to regular basketball. What do you make of this upcoming season for Luka? Some of the expectations. What are you expecting from him?
I'm excited to see that he's locked in. I mean, that was the whole thing, and it feels like if I'm Luka, everyone was saying, I mean, you were saying live when the trade was happening, like, I mean, the week after he got traded, the hit piece that Nico Harrison, the Mavs, did on him about how he's fat and he smokes hookah and he doesn't care and all this. I mean, it was pretty crazy. Like, you never really see that when a guy gets traded. There might not have been the greatest bond there, but it's
and maybe that stuff doesn't come out if they didn't get so much criticism.
I think so too.
I think maybe they were just kind of trying to save their ass, so they're just like, he smokes hookah. Like whatever they could do, just put everything in that article. I mean, he's late on his cable bill. I mean, everything that they could possibly think of.
Totally, and it's just cool to see that. I mean, Luka, you could tell was like, oh yeah, and then with the Cooper Flag thing, them getting Cooper Flag, it was kind of like, I mean, I swear the conversation of, I mean, was he right? Nico Harris. I remember having that conversation with people. I was like, no, he wasn't right. You don't trade Luka Doncic. And then seeing him completely transform his body. This also goes back into our conversation, I think, about LeBron getting rest. I mean, Luka being in excellent shape now.
Yeah.
People want to go, he should have been in shape before. He should have. But now you can count on him to hopefully play a lot of games this season and stay in shape and not be gassed in the fourth quarter like we saw in the playoff game against Minnesota. And that could probably, help LeBron out and give him some rest.
It's a conversation, and listen, this happens with every team. It's not like it's the end all be all, but it's starters. We all kind of we are all interested in who's starting. I mean, in more than any other sport, we want to know hey, who's your starting five? Who's your starting five? JJ Redick is not going to share who his starting five is. And honestly, maybe he's figuring it out as he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to figure out, like, let me see what the best fit is. I think we know Ayton's going to be there. I think we know Luka's going to be there. I think we know LeBron's going to be there. Personally, I think Reaves is going to be in the starting lineup. I don't think that's going to change either. Number one, tell me if you agree with those four, that those are locks.
Yeah.
And number two, what are do you got some ideas there? Who should go into that fifth slot?
Well, so Marcus Smart's the interesting one, because Marcus Smart, if he gets back to his form, he bounced around there, Memphis, Washington, massive injury history. But this guy a few years ago was a legit, really good player. And it sucks that he's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now heading into camp. But you look at, I think why that's
Smart. Can I just say this? Smart was not just like, Smart was the man in Boston. And I know Tatum was there. I know Brown was there. I know there are players that are just better than him and more talented. But Smart, you win championships or a championship with a guy like Marcus Smart.
Totally.
I don't know what version of him is coming, but I've said this a couple different times that I'm most excited to see a healthy version of Marcus Smart than anything else on this team, because, as just a fan of basketball in the NBA, when I used to watch some of those playoff games, I'm like, this dude is in the thick of everything. But go keep going on your point.
No, and I totally agree with that. And when you're playing for a Wizards team that doesn't have a lot going for it, his skill set of play hard-nosed defense and hit threes doesn't really work as much, doesn't pop as much, because you don't have the guys like you mentioned, your Tatum, your Brown, your guys that are getting it done, and then Marcus Smart hits the big shot. I think Marcus Smart would be a really big option there. I think Jared Vanderbilt is interesting too, because Jared Vanderbilt, you would in the past be hesitant to bring off the bench because he adds no scoring. And if you put him in the starting lineup, Luka's there, LeBron's there, Reaves is there. I do think a signing of even like Jake LaRavia, and we'll see if Gabe Vincent can bring it forward a little bit this year. Like, you do have some scoring on the bench, so maybe you could stick Vando there. It's just, I'm curious what defender you want to go with, and then is Rui your guy, or do you kind of go with the size? I think it's a total matchup based thing. I think Rui off the bench would be really interesting, and that's not a shot at Rui. It's just he does have the ability to pop off and be a legit scorer. I think he could really be a sixth man of the year if they brought him off the bench. But I'm curious, what do you think on that? Are you
You know what? I went a couple days ago. I was like, all right, I got my starting five, and I threw out my starting five. And I think for one of the points that you mentioned earlier, I would love to see, again, I don't know 100% how it would work, but I think it's worth exploring it. For me, Vando, I want it as my fifth starter. And I'll tell you, this was some of my reasoning. Some of my reasoning was this. If you already have Austin Reaves and Luka and Ayton and LeBron, you got so much offensive heavy focus there, guys that you can go to. Number one, you got to have balance, and you got to have players that can play some type of defense. I think Vando, I think you can hide Vando because you got so many other players that can do what they can do. So give me a player that I know can go try to guard Steph Curry, or go try to guard Ja Morant, or go try to guard James Harden, or any of these other guards, and keep Austin Reaves in the backcourt defensively, and slide Luka on defense, move him to that small forward position. Just kind of let him match up against somebody that is not going to be a problem for Luka, or somebody that's going to blow by Luka. So Vando, to me, I think is the answer. Listen, I don't know if they're going to do that, but that hurts Rui a little bit because now Rui will come off the bench and there'll be just naturally more attention on him. He's not going to get as many looks or as many clean looks, but I don't care. Like, to be honest with you, I don't think that matters at all. And I'm not trying to accommodate to Rui Hachimura.
I think it also kind of hurts him being in the starting lineup in a weird way because he does have the ability to score. He's getting paid to be a decent scorer for this team. And you're not getting shots over LeBron and Luka and Reaves. Like you are the fourth guy when it comes to shooting the ball. And I get it. You want LeBron, you want shooters on the floor so we can get in the paint and kick out. But Reaves and Luka should be handling that. If they can't handle that, that's a problem. I think that Rui off the bench would be really interesting. He also has some shooters there. Jake LaRavia, Gabe Vincent. I'm with you on the Vando thing. I think you can hide him there. And then I'm curious if Marcus Smart plays really well, if he would close games, if you need a little bit more scoring to add to it, because Marcus Smart is definitely a better offensive player than Jared Vanderbilt.
Okay, so we'll kind of see how that works. I got a couple of people responding. The Marcus Smart has 0 rings. True, but I still think that guys like that you want on your roster. I want a player like that. A couple other people saying that Vando can't hit a bucket. You're not wrong, and we know that.
But he's not there to hit a bucket.
But I was just going to say that's kind of part of the reason why I'm saying go ahead and throw him in that starting lineup, because you have so much offensive focus already. Now you got a couple of guys that can play defense. The chatter, the conversation, there's a lot of, obviously this has just come up a lot, and it's not going to go anywhere. Reaves is in a contract year. I think it's safe to say Reaves is going to make at least 30 a year. Okay. At least 30 a year. Starting next year is going to make at least 30 a year. And I've seen some reports that it might be up to 35 million, maybe even a little bit north of that. What do you do with Austin Reaves? As you try to kind of build this roster and this team, you're looking for the short term, you're looking for the long term. He by far has the most value of any player that you're actually willing to trade. Bron isn't going anywhere. We don't know what Ayton's value is. Plus, Ayton's got that player option next year. Austin Reaves has value. I think it's very, very fair to say Austin Reaves has value. And I think, if he's not a Los Angeles Laker and he ends up on another team, I think he's good for marketing. I think he's good for sales. I think he's good on the basketball floor if he's on the right team. I think Austin Reaves has got a ton of value. Lakers got, at the minimum, by February 1st to figure out what to do with Austin Reaves, or wait till the offseason, or just re-sign him. What are your thoughts when I mention Austin Reaves long-term with the Lakers?
I get people's hesitations in that you think that Luka and Reaves as guys who don't play a ton of defense but are scorers wouldn't work. And I understand it because we saw in the Minnesota series the defense at the top of the floor was atrocious. But I think people are forgetting a little bit. Like when Luka was with the Mavs, when he went to the Western Conference Finals, he had Jalen Brunson as his running mate. When he went to the NBA Finals, he had Kyrie Irving as his running mate. And neither of those guys play defense. And they literally the Mavs let Jalen Brunson walk because he was just small and couldn't play defense. And look where Jalen Brunson's doing with the Knicks right now. I think it's
Can I throw a caveat there?
Yeah.
I think based off of that, I want to just make sure. I think the key is, okay, if you're going to have two guys like that in your backcourt, by the way, look, Jalen Brunson is top 10 right now in the NBA. Kyrie Irving is one of the most dynamic players that we've ever seen, probably the greatest ball handler we've ever seen, and can finish with his riders left. We know Kyrie Irving's resume, and I guess the point I'm making is I don't want to compare Kyrie, Jalen Brunson, and Austin Reaves. I don't think they're in the same conversation.
That's fair.
But let me put that to the side. I would also say those teams had complete teams. Like, go look at Kyrie and Luka getting to the NBA Finals together. Go look at the type of defense they had. Go look at the wings that they had. Go look at some of the bench players that they had. I think the problem sometimes when I hear that comparison with what the Mavs had, I don't think it's apples to apples, and I do think those players are just better than Austin Reaves.
That's very fair. But it's hard for me to give up on a guy who's 26 years old and can score like Austin Reaves, because I feel like if Austin Reaves gets traded, I saw a quote from him talking about how he would rather make a little less money and play on a team that's relevant versus being an all-star in, I don't know, Charlotte, where it's like you're not really in contention every year.
He wants to be a Laker. I mean, you can't make it any more clear. I think he's almost making it kind of difficult for the Lakers as well. He's like, I want to be here.
I get people's reservations with the money, and can you win with a team when LeBron's gone of just Luka and Reaves? But it just, unless you get some Godfather offer, and I think Vando and Smart have a lot to do with this, because if we're halfway through the season and Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt, both who have had significant injury histories, are healthy and are kind of holding down the defense there, I think Reaves is going to look really good next to Luka. But if some of these guys are hurt, and then you have Reaves there, and then you get some Godfather offer, I think you got to entertain it. But I wouldn't. I just think the only thing about trading him at the deadline is that you could send him to the East. That's the one thing I think that if the season's going down the drain a little bit, I would prefer him to not go to San Antonio or go somewhere like that where you're like, you got to see this guy for the next 5
Well, if they do shop him and he does get traded, that team's got to know that obviously he wants to be there, because he'll be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season, right? Yeah. So if it is an Eastern Conference, I'm just gonna let me throw out the Pistons, who are kind of look like they're under Cade Cunningham, look like they're on the rise, right? I'm just using the Pistons as an example. He's got to be able to go somewhere where he could tell them, I'm going to be here for X amount of years. I'm going to sign an extension with you, because if not, then obviously why would he do that? But listen, the Reaves conversation ain't going anywhere. This is something that's going to be there.
Would you trade him?
Would I what?
Would you trade him?
I would.
Really?
Yeah, I've come around to it. Yeah, I would. And I'll tell you why I would trade him. Listen, it all comes down to, is it the right piece? That's it. Like, there's no angle for this. Is it the right player? I saw something. There's an NBA writer. I think I did this on Monday. And why am I drawing a blank here? Minnesota Timberwolves shooting guard there. Why am I drawing a blank? Help me out here.
Anthony Edwards.
No.
What'd you say?
Why am I drawing a blank? The shooting guard for the Minnesota Timberwolves that was dominating the Lakers over, not Anthony Edwards.
Cade McDaniels?
McDaniels. I don't know why. Yeah. I kept wanting to say Cade Cunningham because I said it earlier.
Yeah.
But let me say this. So there was an article, NBA.com, or NBA writer talked about Jaden McDaniels, and I appreciate everybody in the chat. We have a little bit of a delay. So by the time they give it to me, I stand there for 10 seconds trying to figure out what to say. The idea was, hey, this can work for both sides. Jaden McDaniels on the Lakers, a 6'9" player who can guard multiple positions. That is a 3-and-D type of player that also I think is young enough and just kind of coming into his own. Just, again, using that as an example. Austin Reaves hypothetically goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They need another scorer. They need somebody with Anthony Edwards. Now Reaves also he's not as much of a liability on defense because Anthony Edwards is a great defender. Go down the list. Rudy Gobert is there. Julius Randle can be a presence. I'm just giving you, Naz Reid is there. If you're telling me I can get a player like that for the next 3-4 years, or you're telling me Austin Reaves for the next 3-4 years, what I'm trying to weigh is which one will fit better with Luka and which one do I feel like gives me kind of a more well-rounded roster. That's interesting to me, and I cannot ignore that.
That's interesting. Now, it would make me sick to give Anthony Edwards a running mate because we just saw what just happened, and I know Jaden McDaniels was a big part of that because he destroyed Austin Reaves. But in that hypothetical trade scenario, giving him a running mate with Julius Randle would be pretty scary because that's been the Minnesota's problem, is that it's just Anthony Edwards by himself up there. I see what you're saying. I think that puts pressure on Rui. I think that's like Rui is the guy that could be Jaden McDaniels. No, is he the same defender? No, he's not. But that is the same mold of a player, and that's why it's been a little frustrating at times that Rui is not that guy when we see Minnesota, who has had this guy for years and completely developed into a shutdown defender out there. I see what you're saying with that. I'm curious if the Lakers, if they're trading Austin Reaves, now this is a championship win now team, but because they keep talking about building for the future, Luka signed the long-term contract. I'm curious if that trade would not be more around draft picks. I have a hard time feeling that Reaves is going out for a player coming back the other way. I feel like it would be more like a youth movement because the Lakers do not have a lot of draft picks for years to come because of some of these deals.
I don't think they can do that. I think they're in the Luka camp now. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's, let's put it this way. Whatever draft compensation they got, that draft compensation is going out. My point is that they're only going to be using that stuff, I think, to acquire, another player. Listen, here's the pressure that the Lakers are going to have, and it's okay. I'm not saying this is a bad thing or any of that stuff, but Luka's already been to the NBA Finals. Luka's already been to the Western Conference Finals, right? Like, he's already accomplished the things that, if you told me, I think of a young player that hasn't done much. Let me. This is a bad example. Wembanyama, which San Antonio's already like, hey, they're already starting to push chips to the center of the table. And Wembanyama is remarkably young. But Wemby's also never been to the Western Conference Finals. Wemby hasn't made the playoffs yet, if I'm correct. So, like, there's things he hasn't done yet that there's a process for Wemby. If they make the playoffs this year, it's like, oh, okay, hey, I made the playoffs. Then it's like, okay, how do we get to the second round? Luka's already done all that stuff. So I find it difficult. I don't think the Lakers are going to do anything that is delaying winning for Luka right now. And I think that's probably something like they've already talked about.
We're delaying winning for Luka if we trade Austin Reaves.
I think if they trade Austin Reaves, they're getting a player that they feel like can help them now and for the next 3-4 years, 5 years, or whatever the case is. And I don't think there's a delay. Like, I think he's the best asset that you have by far. And the fact that he's coming to a stage of his career where he's about to cash in, the question just becomes, do we want to give him $35 million a year for 4 years? Or do we want to give somebody else that money that we feel like kind of complements what he's doing? I heard NBA TV again, just this is or Sirius XM. They were talking about RJ Barrett. Again, just an example.
Player.
There are players in this league that would just naturally fit better on the roster and the team. And I'm not even telling you go give up Austin for, by no means am I saying. I think Austin's got a tremendous amount of value, and you got to bring something back that makes a ton of sense. But I'm very, very open to the idea and the concept of saying, okay, let's see what we can do here if Austin Reaves is in a trade scenario.
I understand people want to trade him if they don't believe Austin Reaves can be a second star and win a championship. I get that. If you don't believe that, that's fine.
Can I stop with what you just said?
Yeah.
Say what you just said again.
I said, if you don't believe Austin Reaves can be a number 2 on a championship winning team, I understand.
But I'll stop you right there.
Yeah.
No one's winning a championship with Austin Reaves as the second best player.
Yeah, so I think you need pieces around that. I'm just saying, because LeBron is obviously wrapping this thing up. Like, this is probably the last year. And at some point, you can't just keep running the same thing back. So if we trade Austin Reaves, that's great because you're going to get a lot of assets back. But then who's coming in? Because then it's just a collection of guys who are solid guys, good players, and Luka. Because LeBron will be gone and Austin Reaves will be gone. And then you're going to end up packaging a lot of those players to try to go get a second star, and you're right back where you were.
Well, and that's a good point. Maybe it's if you're going to trade AR, it has to be for a package that you're hoping to get that big whale. And by the way, that's the only way that happens. We've talked about it. If Giannis Antetokounmpo was ever going to be a Laker, it's only because Giannis said, I want to leave the Milwaukee Bucks. I want to go play with Luka Doncic. I want to go be a Los Angeles Laker. You could trade me wherever you want. But when my contract is done, I'm signing with the Lakers. It's kind of the only way that happens, right? And then it's kind of Milwaukee saying, well, let's get the absolute best we can. That's kind of the only way a star like that can come, at least for now.
Yeah,
until LeBron,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Until LeBron. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this, and you were looking at the Rui piece of this for a second there. Rui's on an expiring as well. So, you're asking me would I trade AR? By the way, I don't know what's happened to me in this offseason. I'm like, yeah, I would trade AR. Yeah, I would trade
Yeah,
Rui.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I would trade. Well, I tell you what, I think the Rui thing for me, and I think a lot of people have value for Rui Hachimura. I don't know what I'm getting from Rui every night. I think that's what it just comes down to.
That's what's frustrating with Rui is if Rui was the player, if Rui could be a Jaden McDaniels, he's not. He's not Jaden McDaniels. But if he was,
and I don't think he will be. Like, I think that's it. I think what we're getting from him is probably what we're getting from him. The way we started our conversation is if LeBron is missing some time and all of a sudden a player like that is dependent upon more, maybe Rui becomes a little bit more integral of a piece.
I firmly believe that if Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt are healthy, they're going to keep Austin Reaves here because having another scoring threat like that can help you win a title. If they're not getting it done, I could see what you're saying with the you need to go get another defender because Rui hasn't become that. Not that Rui was ever a defender. He was a scorer first, but he's the same kind of mold, the same kind of build of a guy who could be a Jaden McDaniels type. And it's frustrating because Rui at times is like, will drop 20 points and then he'll kind of do nothing. And I do think him moving to the bench would be really interesting because you give him more looks, let him run that second unit because
a little more attention towards him when he's in the game.
Right. And he's still got shooters to kind of play off of there. Laravia, Gabe Vincent. I just think him being in the starting lineup is a little bit of a waste because he's not shooting the ball over LeBron, Luka, Reaves, and Aiden's going to be a big part of this thing because we know Luka loves his lob threat. So I think Rui could possibly make a jump if he was on the bench.
It's funny. Every time I look at just the team and the roster, and you mentioned this to me yesterday. You kind of texted me some different things that we can talk about. You mentioned championship odds. Do you have? I don't know who you used or what. Do you have those in front of you? I use
FanDuel. I'll pull them up right now.
Okay. Well, we might have to use DraftKings. We're working.
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted.
We use DraftKings. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. Okay, but no, read me what you have because I actually looked at 3. Use yours, and then I got 2 others. ESPN Bet had one as well. They're all kind of, I don't know if you noticed this. Does it feel like they're all a little all over the place?
They are.
There isn't any consistency.
Kind of got their so if we're using FanDuel, which we don't know if they're a sponsor yet, so we're using a certain one.
We're just trying to be nice, but eventually we're going to be DraftKings. Yeah,
exactly. We love DraftKings. DraftKings is phenomenal. OKC is the favorite at plus 210, Cavs plus 700, Nuggets plus 750, Knicks plus 1,000, and the Lakers at plus 1,400. And the Rockets have dropped. They're plus 1,600.
Okay, so do what you had on there. Can you name me the teams? Don't give me the plus whatever. Just give me the teams again in front of the Lakers.
Okay, Thunder, Cavs, Nuggets, Knicks. And then it's the Lakers.
So Thunder, Cavs have the highest odds in the East.
Yep.
And then you said, was it Nuggets?
Nuggets and Knicks. So there's 2 teams in the West above the Lakers.
And 2 teams in the East above the Lakers. And then Houston dropped because of the injury, the Van Vliet.
The Van Vliet injury dropped their odds.
Listen, if you told me coming into the season, Lakers have the 5th best odds, this is to win a championship, or is it to finish to win a championship? Yep. The 5th best odds to win a championship, that's pretty solid. Like I don't really know what more you'd be asking for, and I can almost guarantee you this is not the roster that the Lakers will have going into the playoffs. It's not.
ESPN Bet has the exact same, except Houston's in front of the Lakers slightly. So this is why I'm a little hesitant to just ship Austin Reaves out. I get people frustrated with the lack of defense. I understand it, and I don't think it's the worst option if the right deal comes along.
Can I just say this? I think part of this is they are frustrated, yes, with his defense. They're frustrated, yes, with his playoff performance. But I think the bigger picture is they just don't know Luka and AR together. I think that's the main thing. Like
that's why I want to see the first half of the season because it's hard with down the stretch there that no one got to play together. I mean, it was LeBron and Reaves for a while, and then Luka came back, and then LeBron missed a couple games, and then Reaves got hurt, and then Reaves playing by himself in that game where he dropped 45 on the Pacers. Like, we didn't get to see a lot. And yes, the playoff performance was bad. There's no sugarcoating that. Austin Reaves had to come through. He was the X factor in the series, and he didn't. So I'm not making excuses for him. But let's not act like the rest of the team was good in that series either. So I do want to see him this year, and I get it. If it's not working, if they're getting blown by a defense every play, then trade him. But I think it would be a shame. I'm glad they didn't do it in the offseason because I think it would have been a shame to not get them try to build some chemistry and rapport together.
By the way, even if anybody out there saying to themselves, hey, I think Austin Reaves, I want to trade him, you better be hoping and wishing he's phenomenal this year. Because let me give you the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is Austin Reaves takes a step back. He doesn't look as good. He's still getting burned on defense. Maybe his offensive game people are catching up to him. He's also going to lose value if you're trying to trade him. So you should be rooting for an amazing season from Austin Reaves so that the Lakers have some options as well. I think that's a big part of it as well. Let me look at, okay, so here's what DraftKings had that I was looking at. They had the Thunder in front of the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Cavs, the Knicks, the Rockets. They put Minnesota in front of the Lakers too, and then it's the Lakers. So they had the Timberwolves just a hair in front of the Lakers as well. So that, like I said, you got a little bit of everything from most of these. What was ESPN's? I'm going to look at ESPN.
ESPN had 6 right behind Houston.
You're right.
FanDuel has the Lakers' best odds.
That's right.
Fine at 5th.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So that kind of breaks that down. Okay, I got one final one for you, and I appreciate you hanging out, buddy. What'd you think of the JJ extension? It kind of came out of nowhere.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
That was I thought it was a little surprising to me. I wouldn't have done that. It's not even dogging JJ Redick. It's a little, I get it that you're trying to have some continuity.
No, I agree with you. I
like the continuity. I see what they're doing. I see what Pelinka's doing, and he's trying to be like, you know what? We've had a revolving door of coaches. It's been a little bit of an S show, and we're gonna lock this guy up. And he's young, and he showed a lot of promise last year. But it's a little just like how everyone wants to trade Austin Reaves because of the playoff performance. JJ Redick put up a stinker in those playoffs, and him going 5 guys second half of Game 3, I believe it was. And
don't ever question him on that. Don't ever question his decision to do something that's never been done in the history of the NBA playoffs by a head coach.
He knows basketball, but more. That's what that's about.
Well, okay, but you were saying, so it surprised you. Do you think it was a smart move?
I think it was not right now. I think wait another year. Not that you're going to fire him. It's a little bit of a weird PR look to fans when he was a direct reason, just like Austin Reaves was. Just like maybe Luka's conditioning and the supporting cast. JJ Redick was just as big a piece as anyone as to why the Lakers got mud stomped in that series. And it's a little bit odd that you're announcing a extension. It was weird. They didn't even come out with the details because I know you were at Media Day. They didn't even give the details immediately. It came out the next day. Pelinka was like, it was a 2-year extension, but he wouldn't really say. That was, I didn't love that here. I think you wait another year.
Yeah, okay. So I'm with you. So when they did it? So they did it on Thursday. So remember they had Rob and JJ talk before Media Day. I guess they did that last year as well. So it's kind of a little preview before the coach and the president of basketball operations. It threw me off too because I'm seeing when I first heard him say it, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what extension? He's got 3 years left on his contract.
He kind of just flipped it in there. It was kind of a weird, and then he just moved on.
Yeah, and he's got 3 years left on his contract. I think there's a few things that come into play. Let me give the reasons why they did it. They did it because they want to establish, like you just said, enough of this, revolving door of coaches. It's Luke Walton. It's go down the list, right? Frank Vogel, all the different coaches the Lakers have had over the years. Darvin Ham. I think that's part of the reason. The other reason, it could be Luka saying, "This is my guy, 100%. Yes, if you guys want to extend him, I'm in support of it. Perfect." It could also just be the Lakers saying, "We got our guy, and he's going to make some mistakes along the way, but this is the right coach." I'd have waited a year. You couldn't have seen how this year played out, and then he still has 2 years left on his deal after this year. And if by the time this year was done, everybody around the league is like, yeah, JJ is going to be a head coach for years to come. then I think it's like, okay, give him whatever extension you want. The world's not going to end. I just didn't really understand.
I thought it was also weird. Like Luka must like him, like you said, because this was LeBron's guy. That's why it was kind of surprising to me, because it's like LeBron's not going to be here for another 5 years. It's probably the last year. Maybe there's one more, but it makes it sound like this is the last year. It was odd to not play it out and see what this year brings. And then Luka's obviously the franchise, whatever Luka wants. So Luka must be on board with JJ Redick. They wouldn't have done this if they didn't sign off with him. But I did think it was interesting.
All right, let me read off one of these here a couple of these. Luka and AR wouldn't be as bad together if they had a solid rim protector, which Ayton is not. Ayton's got a lot to improve this year. I mean, I was very curious to hear his presser, just to kind of, he doesn't have the best reputation around the league. If you saw some of those stories when he was leaving Portland, they were like, we're going to give you whatever the amount was, $28 million, just so you can leave, because we don't want you around some of our younger players. Does not have a good reputation, but it is what it is. You can always kind of change what that reputation is. And for him, it's going to have to be, obviously with the Lakers. So that's a good point there on Ryan's side. Luka's the focal point now. Lakers building around him, no question about it. I mean, the Lakers have shown every indication of whose team it is. So, and frankly, I think I thought LeBron did a good job last year of just kind of like, yeah, this is Luka's team now. And as much as maybe that's tough for LeBron to swallow that pill, there's a 14-year difference. Not LeBron's fault. When LeBron was 26, he'd still be the guy, but he's not 26.
Right.
All right, let me read one more here. If LeBron does not retire after the season, no championships, he will come back for one more year at a lower salary, so the team could sign one more superstar for.
We've been saying that one for years.
You're not wrong there. Or he'll go to another team and do it, or he'd go to Cleveland and do it. So we'll see how that all pans out. Okay, one quick thing to promote, for those who don't know, Sammy's done this the last couple of years. Starting tomorrow at 8 p.m., Sammy will have a preview video for the Lakers' first preseason game. So make sure to tune in. The video will go up tomorrow at 8 p.m., and he'll continue all season long to preview the matchup that's coming up. He'll give a little bit of his thoughts, his opinion, some things to watch out for. Sammy, anything else you want to promote on the preview video?
Yeah, just kind of same as it used to be. We're going to be previewing the upcoming games. If you're not super familiar with the other teams and things to watch out for in the game, maybe some X factor storylines heading into it, and kind of tell you what Vegas is telling about the game. So hopefully you guys tune in, and thank you to Alan, of course, for letting me do them.
All right, brother. Thank you for coming on. Great conversation. Enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. Sammy's preview video coming up tomorrow.
Alan, you're the best. Thank you, everybody.
All right, Sammy. All right, Sammy Long right there. Get this back up here. Look, I'm still in like preseason form here. Okay, good stuff from him. That's I love that, by the way, just to have that kind of back and forth conversation. I mean, you guys do a great job throwing the comments in, but when I'm talking to myself sometimes for an hour, I'm like, well, where are we going here? Okay, a couple things here before we get out of here. First thing, let me just mention a couple NBA stories that I'm going to hit on here real quick. So we did the Laker odds. We did that. One quick thing here on Marcus Smart. I know a couple people were mentioning it, so let me actually get into it. Here's the story on Marcus Smart, at least the story that we are seeing yesterday. JJ Redick says LeBron James is dealing with nerve irritation, his glute, held out of practice. Gabe Vincent, Marcus Smart, and Adu Thero were out with injuries as well. Here's what it is on Marcus Smart. Marcus is just dealing with a little bit of Achilles tendinopathy, if I pronounce that right. He's been in a slow ramp up. He's a modified participant, nothing live today. We expect him to be fine by the end of the week. Listen, they could also, I know there's a 9-year difference, but they can also be doing something similar that they're currently doing with, obviously that they're currently doing with LeBron and just pacing themselves. Marcus Smart has had injuries the last couple of years, so maybe this one is a little bit more strategic as well. Okay, let me get a couple NBA stories in here. I will say this right out the gate. We lost the Jonathan Kuminga holding out. It's over. Jonathan Kuminga signing with the Golden State Warriors. ended a summer-long stalemate. Kuminga agrees to a 2-year, $48.5 million deal to return to the Golden State Warriors. A couple things on the NBA real quick. Here's where I think Jonathan Kuminga did a good job, him and his agent. The deal includes a team option in the second year that is designed for the Warriors or another team if and when Kuminga is traded during the upcoming season to rip up and complete a fresh new contract after the 2025-2026 campaign, sources said. So basically, Jonathan Kuminga, it sounds like, is playing for, you can almost call it a one-year deal. I think there's probably already conversations out there of the Golden State Warriors saying, hey, let's trade Jonathan Kuminga at some point. If and when they do, then Jonathan Kuminga will get a chance to make 24 and change this year. And then next year they can rip up that contract if he gets traded and sign a new contract with the team that he goes to. So that kind of sounds like a win-win, I guess you can call it, in regards to Jonathan Kuminga, but that's the latest on that front. One other NBA story. I know Seth Curry is signing a one-year deal with the Golden State Warriors. I saw that, so something to keep in mind there. The other story final one with the Warrior stuff, just because all this stuff. Steve Kerr is not going to address his deal. He's on the final year of his contract, so we'll see if Steve Kerr, after this season, is still the coach of the Golden State Warriors. The last thing I got in the NBA, Steve Ballmer, Clippers think they will be exonerated by NBA investigation. I'm going to read something that I saw. I guess this came out of the Washington Post and Hoops Hype grabbed it. In the Clippers front office, the September storm has disrupted business as usual. According to team executives who spoke with the Washington Post on the condition of anonymity because they are not authorized to speak publicly, Ballmer and his front office are steadfast in their belief that they will be exonerated by the NBA's investigation, and listed out all the law firms that are a part of the investigation. But apparently the Clippers feel very, very confident that the NBA is not going to find anything on them and that they will be just fine. So just something to keep in mind in regards to that. That's the last NBA story that I have. I mentioned yesterday, obviously, for those who are big sports fans in general, what a kind of cool time of the year. 10 a.m., Major League Baseball started their playoff game. So yesterday, real quick on just the results of all four games, Detroit and Cleveland. Detroit ends the year just awful. Cleveland on an absolute tear. They end up winning the division. They end up getting home field. And in one game, Detroit kind of sets the tone. They win 2-1. They end up beating the Cleveland Guardians. They got another game coming up here in about an hour. They start at 10 a.m. Padres were in Chicago. Not good. Chicago wins 3-1. Padres just listen. You guys know my stance on the San Diego Padres. Just shit baseball. It's the best probably way that I could describe it. Don't take advantage of guys. They had a couple different opportunities with men at third and nobody out or one out. They couldn't take advantage of it. And Chicago just does enough. Phenomenal pitching by the Chicago Cubs. They get past the Padres. You can't play small ball. You can't hit home runs. You're going to lose games. And the Padres did not deserve to win yesterday's game, even though they had a chance to win it. Their season's on the line coming up at noon today. Boston goes into New York. Garrett Crochet pitches 8 and was just phenomenal. Kind of old school baseball, to be honest with you. You don't see this very often anymore where you allow a starter to go that deep into a playoff game. Everybody now is like, third time through, pull your starter. But the Red Sox didn't do that. Yankees actually down 3-1, had the bases loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the ninth. Aronis Chapman gave up, I think, a few singles in a row, and then eventually shut the door, and New York didn't score. So Boston up 1-0 in that series. They'll play again coming up at 3:00. And then the late game yesterday, obviously the Cincinnati Reds against the Dodgers, just the laugher. Complete domination by the Dodgers. They win 10-5. Blake Snell goes, I want to say 7. He goes 6 or 7. I don't know how many innings he went, but he was, he was phenomenal. He was Blake Snell. That's kind of what you expect from him. But really the storyline was the Dodgers offense. Cincinnati probably just happy to be here. They easily didn't think they would be making the wild card if it wasn't for the Mets collapse. Part of me thought it was going to be a better series if the Mets got in just because they have some big names, Lindor, Soto, go down to Pete Alonso. But Dodgers just dominate. Shohei sets the tone to start the game. Teoscar hits a couple home runs. Shohei had 2 home runs as well. So the Dodgers got a chance to move on later tonight. If they do, it's probably the 2 best teams in the NL. That matchup would be the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies. So that can happen. So that's where we are from a baseball perspective, MLB playoff perspective. And yeah, so if you're a Padre fan, then it could kind of end here pretty quick. We'll see what happens. All right, that's all I got. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we have. Let me read a couple of the comments here. Hope Boston closes the Yankees and their cocky aces. I will say this, whether you're a huge baseball fan or you're not, damn, something kind of about Boston and New York. And to get them in the wild card round and to kind of see how that game went yesterday, that's good baseball. That's kind of a, obviously there's so much history there, and it's fun to watch that. Peter, Machado and Tatis need to hit. They don't hit. They're going home. The biggest problem with the Padres is they have they got 0 slug. They got no guys that hit home runs on a consistent basis. And everybody talks about now, if you look at some of the stats, it's like the teams in the playoffs that hit the most home runs, they're going to win that game. And the Padres just, if you can't really play small ball in the postseason, or you can, but you got to capitalize. They didn't. And they also just, they don't have guys that are hitting those 3-run home runs to kind of take a little bit of pressure off. They don't have it. Where a lot of these other teams, Cubs hit home runs, Yankees hit home runs, Dodgers hit home runs, Philly hit home runs. A lot of teams out there that just hit, and the Padres are not one of those teams. Let's see what else we got here. See, we got a couple more comments, and then we're going to call it a day. Let's see. Saturday's game in Philly going to be must-watch TV. Damn, Jesus. Yeah, that starting rotation is just dirty what they have. And that will obviously be a big part to do with how far the Dodgers go. But their starting rotation is just, it's filthy. All right, my people, that's all I got for today. Thank you very much for being here. Shout out to our main partner, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to him being a part of the show. Thank you to everybody that was a part of the show. Do me a favor, please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. We're back Monday through Friday, like I mentioned. Tomorrow, kind of a cool day. Tomorrow will be the 1-year anniversary of going Monday through Friday. So officially tomorrow will be 1 year in the books. Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation is going to join the show. He'll be my guest tomorrow, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. Thank you to Sammy Long for joining the show as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody.